Hey guys, what's up? It's Mitchell and Mitchell Sip and Spill here. Your boy Ed, aka Sip, is on here with my girl, my partner, co-host,
What's up, y'all? It's Kimmy Kim.
Miss Kimmy Kim. And today is a special day, something we haven't done. We're inviting a very special guest of ours, my daughter in love, daughter-in-law, my daughter overall, Miss Monty Mitchell. Yay!
Yay!
I'm here.
Welcome.
Welcome,
Thank you guys
Yes,
for
welcome.
having me.
yes, you're so welcome. So today, it's a little bit different. We're going to talk about some subjects that I think is very near and dear to all of our hearts. And my daughter is going to kind of lead the way in this,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna ask a couple of questions, but I want to hear her side or her theory or her thought processes as relates to parenting, which is Kim has been a thing that we've talked about. I don't think we got too deep into parenting. We got more into family and relationships, marriages, and I guess like relatives, like our parents, but not necessarily what how we interact with our children. Like I know one thing I had an issue before I let my daughter take off, and Kim, you can chime in. I know for it was been a while when we and I guess a lot of black couples get together. We have different views of how to raise children sometimes. And in our culture, sometimes we may not necessarily talk about them up front. We don't say, "Hey, I want my kids to do this," or whatever. Sometimes we may not talk about it. We find out as we go along, and we realize that we may have, different parenting styles, which could cause a problem in the relationships or whatever. But today's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna talk about, I guess, parenting styles for maybe generational,
Mhm.
um, male and female parenting styles and things of that nature. So, Kim, what you think about that? Like, what has been your approach when it comes to parenting? Like, did you have that kind of issue where you thought something different and your husband thought something different, or ex-husband, your baby, whatever, and they thought something different, y'all together? You're like, well, I thought this was cool and you don't think it's cool or whatever. Did you have those
Yeah,
issues?
for me, parenting, I think everybody should have their own style, especially with brand new mothers. They got the older generation in their ear.
Mhm.
Really, you really need to, you're going to have to come to terms on your own. I pretty much did it. I did have a great mom that my mom was great of giving me different things on what to do. But for the most part, I feel like I had to figure things out. I'm a mom of 4 boys, so I didn't
Mhm.
really get the chance to
I
do
didn't know
any
that.
type of girly stuff. So
Mhm.
that was like, dang, but I would say everybody parent different. I
Mhm.
think everybody really parent different. And I think adults still are being parented by their parents. I know I'm still parenting. Okay? Still
Mhm.
parenting. Still parenting. Okay. Don't
Yes.
want to, but I'm still
Mhm.
parenting.
And you got
So,
you got all different ages, right? You got like,
yeah, my oldest just turned 30 yesterday.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
so
so I
happy.
am officially have a 30-year-old now. So yeah, and our conversations is different.
Yes.
So you still parenting. But
Mhm.
I'm curious. I want to know, coming on to the show, I want to hear exactly what you all want to talk about regarding parenting and how.
Yes.
I think it's different phases and stuff. Yeah, I really do. But we've talked about different things, but it's kind of nice to hear a young perspective on
Oh,
parenting.
thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, I this is all I can think about right now, right? So I just had a baby in March.
Yeah.
Um, And what really inspired the conversation was just like, this is so different.
Mm.
I got Makayo 9 and I've got Micah who's 5. And I just thought I would be more prepared. And so it just started to,
Mm.
I mean, even just
Okay.
the dynamic between me and Jordan has shifted, from child to child. And so I was just thinking about like how, can you master parenting? Like, is
Mm.
that even a thing? And I mean, I guess I'll ask y'all because you guys are, more vetted than I am. You've been in the game.
Yeah, we quite
Yeah.
seasoned. Seasoned is what we is.
And so it's just like, is there a mastering? Because like I had Kyle and was like, boom, did that. Then I had Micah and I was like, whew. And now with Malachi, I'm like, okay, Jesus, raise your child because like raise me and him at the same time.
Okay, okay. I'm
So, but
with
yeah,
that.
so I guess like my initial question, and like I have a response to this, but I was curious to hear, you guys' perspective. First of all, I was listening to you guys' most recent show, and I was like, I want to be on here. I want to talk
Oh.
to people. Um, But yeah, so do you feel like you guys have mastered parenting, or what's the deal?
I'm gonna let Ed go first. Go ahead, and do you feel like you didn't got it master, partner?
No, no. Because Tamani, as we get older, as you guys get older,
Mm-hmm.
I would claim you as one of my children. Obviously, there are
Right, right.
things different. The different needs change. So no, I wouldn't say that, but I do think I have a decent grasp. And what I mean by that is I have a decent grasp and now listen more than I
Mm,
talk, and to try to identify each child's need, even as adults. I notice everybody's different. At first, when you're going through life, real like your guys' age right now, everything is going to be really, really fast because now you got so much going on. You guys are building businesses. You guys got so much stuff going on. The kids are there, and you try your best to navigate each child's personality. And as I get older, I start to find that time to do it a little bit. To kind of like, okay, I'm gonna give this person, because I have a little bit more time now to say, okay, I'm gonna
mm,
give this person this type of time, that's what they need, and this person this type of time and ear as they need it. But that mastering, I don't think so. But more of a, I
mm.
have more of a, I'm not so overwhelmed as much
Yeah.
because anxiety would get me. That was like, I don't get
Mm-hmm.
anxiety about it now, but
Okay.
that's the difference. It's
Yeah.
not mastering, it's just less of an anxiety.
Right. Right. Get more comfortable.
More, yeah, more comfortable. I'm more of a swag by myself a little bit, even though I do stumble and I make
Mm,
some mistakes. I have even recently with my children, even though they're older. But I had to find a way to, but I had to get anxiety and get thrown off, like, oh my God, I had
mhm,
to I knew enough to kind of let me be still. I've seen this before. It's a little different, but I've been here, and you know,
mhm. What
what
about
about
you,
you,
Kim?
Kimmy?
I would say, with all four of my boys, and I would say with you, um, I can definitely relate to you with the different ages and the fact that you're gonna have all boys like
Mm.
me.
Yeah, so Imma learn from you. Imma learn from you. I'm
So I would say it's no such thing as mastering,
Mhm,
in any type of art of any kind. But I think you get smarter and more wiser as
mm,
each child comes along. So
mm,
with your first child, you like, man, okay, y'all wash your hands and you extra and
mm,
put the blanket over and put a whole hazmat suit on
mm,
because you don't want them to catch nothing. Then the second child, you be like, it's okay, you can take the gloves off but still keep the blanket on you. Then when the
mhm.
third come, I don't look when you getting this baby because I need to go to the bathroom. You know
Right,
what I'm saying? So
right.
and you okay though, but each child you kind of made it where you felt more comfortable.
Mhm,
And each child is going to take you through different phases differently.
mm,
Aji and I was just talking about how they had the three boys and then they had their daughter, which is the dynamic of it's like, it just changed when they had Eden, which is quite different. It
right,
was like, my boys. See, I still say my boys because that's all I have is my boys. But when I had
right.
my first granddaughter, it was like, whoo, okay, what we doing? You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? So I
mhm,
think as you I would say, continue to grow as a parent,
mhm,
is your relationship, you and your husband, as well as each child. Y'all
mhm.
gonna laugh sometimes at certain things. You're like, okay, so that okay, Mikhail, that's what you want today.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm. See,
Mhm,
I know that one. So
mhm,
I'm gonna do better what I did
mhm,
last time. But see, Poe, Poe, the baby, Poe Malachi, he ain't gonna be able to get away with the old stuff. So
I
he's
don't
gonna
think
come
so.
with some new stuff.
Right, I don't think
Because
yeah.
he gonna realize that that don't work. See,
Yeah,
mom and dad done seen that and this, and I'm quite sure Ed, you've known that with from Jordan, Eden to Deal, they
yeah.
all got different kind of personalities. The boys do,
Mhm,
and then but they all would kind of try you a different way. You know what I mean? So it's like you just become more. I really do. It's like you just become more aware and you become more alert with each child, and you become more of accepting in your role as being a parent. You become more tolerable, as Ed say, when you have more time.
yeah.
It's just different as you know. Even it's like, wow, when it first happened, I know you just had a baby, so it's like, woo, I'm a mother of three.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you and Jordan look around and be like, they running around, and then you holding one, you like, babe, we did all that. That's
Seriously.
us.
Yeah.
It's like a reality check. Like, that's
Mhm,
all us. So it's our responsibility to take care of them. And it's our
mhm,
when they need something, like we go to mom and dad, they come to us. We're their mom and dad.
Yeah.
So it's like the initial shock factor,
Mhm.
then it's the initial of, okay, how I'm gonna handle this. And then it becomes a certain comfort level of, especially when, I can say this, when you have a husband,
Mhm.
I've been blessed to have that with
Mm.
my children. And I think that's absolutely amazing, to have that and be able to say, okay, here you
Oh.
hold it now, let me go do this. But, for those that don't have that and they doing it all by themselves. So trust and believe the husband should definitely chime in, and, we want to give them their flowers, as
Oh
Ed
my
say,
goodness.
of being there. Cause that's awesome.
And
So
that's
it gets better. It gets
yeah.
better.
I'll say that, with each one, I feel like, in the feedback that I'm getting from, my role models, so my parents and grandparents who's, been parenting, the feedback that I get is that I'm an awesome parent, and we are an
Mm-hmm.
awesome parenting team. And so, and that's kind of my, MO is that I'm a perfectionist, and I try to like I say, master. But something that I realized, and it didn't really hit me until the new baby, is it's each child is its own subject. If we talk in school, like Makayo's English, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you
Right.
can get an A in English, but struggle in math or science, or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just like you just have to come with a different skill set. And I think that's what you guys is talking about right now, is
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you can't, it's not one over, one thing, one
Yeah.
way works
It's
with
just not
everybody.
one cheat sheet. No.
It's
No.
not. It's really not. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I'll say that. I mean, I guess I should be feeling what I'm feeling, as far as with the new
Mm-hmm.
baby. We figuring him out, he figuring
Mm-hmm.
us out, and stuff like that. But I do like where you were going, because that was another part of the conversation, which is the value of partnership.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't have a team, like a husband, wife,
Mm-hmm.
mom, dad situation, there, you have to have a team. I think, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people aren't blessed with that, but I
Right.
think I really just want to focus on the conversation of the husband and the wife, the mom and the dad, because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Jordan, my husband, he is literally, like, I don't know. He could single parent. Isn't that interesting? Like, I feel like he would be a phenomenal single parent. I don't think I could be.
That you could do it without them. Wow. That says a
I
lot.
mean, because
Good
it's just
though.
like, I have, like, a lot of strong emotions, and like I said, I'm a perfectionist. So since Jordan is like the opposite, since my
Mhm.
partner is the opposite, he don't have to get it right. You know what I mean? He
Right.
don't need it to be perfect. He just needed to work. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm gonna let you guys like talk on that, like as far as the
Well,
partnership.
I did have a question for you, and it's based
Oh,
off what we talked about before, based off your thing. I know you said, and I want to just kind of hone in on your template. You're saying not competing but comparing, and
mhm,
your first question is, can you master parenting?
mhm,
And you just talked about each child is different. What we've learned.
mhm.
And so I want to hear your theory on that. Do you think you said we both said we don't think we can master parenting? Do
Yes.
you think you can master parenting? You think that's ever a point where you like, I got this, I've mastered it? Do you feel that way?
No, and I think that the only people who can judge that, I think it's case by case, and I think the only people who can judge that is your kids. I think your kids can tell you, at a certain points when they get maybe at the 30 mark or the 40-year mark, and can look back at everything, the good and the bad
Right.
and all the in between, and
Mhm.
say, you know what? I'm thankful for that. You did a
Mhm.
great job of that. We hashed this out. You said sorry, whatever it is. And
Mhm.
and I think, so I think that that's really, that grade or that assessment has to come from Kyle one day, Micah, Malachi one day. And for me is like, no, I'm not trying to master parenting. I know that I'm really great at it, and then based off the day-to-day feedback that I'm getting from my kids, from my partner, and also just looking at myself, so the concept of Gen X versus Gen Y. And really I was thinking of it as a combination, because I am Gen Y, I also have Gen X tendencies because my parents is Gen X. And so, and not finna get on that, but there's a lot of things that they did that I appreciate, and there's a lot of things that they did that I'm glad that they did, so I know not to.
Okay.
Um,
Let me
you know,
let's. I want to hone in on that part, and I'm sure Kimmy will understand that. So, give me some examples of what you think that we, because I'm gonna put myself in the boat, and this is what we do on the show, Tamani. Just so you know, me and
yeah,
Kimmy don't talk about other people. We only talk about ourselves. We ourselves as
yeah,
an example. So, use me as an example, even if it's real or not real,
okay,
or specific to me. Just use me as me. I'm your parent, so the world would know I'm your parent or I'm your
yeah,
in-law, which is your dad. I've known you since you were 18 or 17.
17,
Wow.
I've known
mm,
you since you were 17. So
17, yeah.
yes, so that would constitute as a parent. So what? Give me an example of what us Gen X parents done that you were like, I'm not going to
Well,
do
you
that.
know what? I'm gonna say this because it's like you guys are growing up with Gen Y right now, and so at some point, one a millennial has taught you how to better love them or how to
Mhm,
better nurture them, right?
mhm,
And so if we're talking about back when we couldn't say nothing, back when Gen Y was like, if you say one more thing, or
Mm.
when Gen X was like, don't talk back, all this other stuff. One thing, as an example, I'm not singling you out because I'm not doing that, but I love, I love my kids watching me apologize. I love it. It is so important to me. You know what I mean? It's
mm,
like they need to know that I'm human, okay? I make mistakes and I can admit when I'm wrong. It's not just you who can be
Mhm.
wrong. And I
mm,
think that that's extremely humbling. And that's when we talk about, as far as the African American community, when we're talking about building kings and queens need to, not always feel like they're burdened or wrong or making mistakes is bad. You know what I mean? So they already idolize me and my partner. They already look at us as, they think that we are the rulers of the world, from their perspective. And so if I can say sorry, and that's something I never heard my parents say sorry. I never
Mhm.
heard it until I was an
mm,
adult, until they respected me as an adult. And so, you know what I mean? If I don't get approved for this bank loan, or if I don't, get this job, I think it's my fault. I think I made a mistake. I think that I'm wrong. And this to me, it translates because now I'm thinking like I can't mess up. I can't fail. And that's why I think so many Gen Y has, anxieties and
mm,
nervousness. They don't want to try nothing. They're, you know what I mean? They're
mm,
decapitated, if you will. You know what I mean? Because they're just like, school. I know how to do school. I know how to, you know what I mean? I know how to do entry level job, but I don't know how to approach this, business person and what is it? Persuade him to invest in me. You know
mm.
what I'm saying? So I think that sorry is at the very bottom of that. And I think that just so that's something that we do and I didn't have growing up, but I think is so important is just them seeing us that we mess up. We say
You
the wrong thing.
You know what's funny, Kim? I know you can chime in because me and Kim had a conversation similar to this, and we were talking about as parents. I know that we grew up differently, and I think that we have to. We've been resonating with this a lot, me and Kim, or
Mhm,
Kimmy, and we were saying about how we like the low frequency thing we've been talking about, Kimmy. And I
mhm,
think that we have to be wise enough as parents to realize that y'all didn't really kind of grow up the way we grew up. So
mhm,
that type of like you were saying, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't approach that. We were kind of like, remember how they back in the day? I know a lot of white families throw the kid in the water in the pool, and they had to learn how to swim. We were kind of thrown in the water a lot of times. I can't speak for Kim too much. I'll let her speak for herself. But I was kind of thrown in the water, like
mhm,
at an early age. Like you better swim. I don't know what else to tell you.
mhm,
So we didn't
Right.
do guys like that. The Gen
mhm,
Mhm.
X didn't do the Gen Y like that, but
mhm,
we expect y'all to have that same type of tenacity.
mhm,
Remember we told you how to swim now. We kick you in the ass. We
mhm,
never really did that. And then
mhm,
we want that same fire from you. And that's something that you're right. Like we have to recognize, like, damn, I didn't do that. I didn't prep you like that because I
mhm,
was trying not to do you that way because my parents did me that way or in certain
mhm,
ways. In that regard. I know
mhm,
for me, I was guilty of under preparing my kids, trying to protect them from things that I was doing, and then
mhm.
getting mad at the results of them not having the drive that I had.
Right.
So that was my side of it. I don't know if Kimmy has a different side of it, but apologize is a big deal. And I'm glad you said that, because now I can learn from that and be more understanding and know to apologize to my kids. I can't say that I have. I may have. I don't know, but I'm gonna be cognizant of that.
I'm sure you have. But yeah.
What do you think, Kimmy?
I think I first want to say, for the people that watching us and they don't know what Gen X and Gen Y is.
Yeah.
Y'all might want to explain that first. So I'm gonna let you, since you came on, Money, you explain what is Gen X and Gen Y.
So I believe Gen X is everyone born after the baby boomers before the millennials. So I think it was 1965 to 1980. So if your
That's correct.
if your baby boomers is mom and dad, then you Gen X, and then your kids would typically be Generation Y, millennials.
Right.
But yeah.
So that's that. Because I know people going, what's that?
All right.
I would say, you said something that stuck out to me when, I guess, from growing up and you have parents, we do what we were taught. Like we try to mimic the way even way before what our parents were, their parents, Ed and I, all the way down to having our own children. Right. And you said something about being, you're the perfect one and your husband is not. So it's like, but really the most important thing, our children do look at us as superwoman and superheroes, and they be our drive, and they be our goal. And, so some people may or may not agree with this statement, but I said this a long time ago. And I still mean it to this day. I love my boys. I love everything that they brought and everything that is happening, to have birth and this, and then they bring it to you and you like, oh my God, I know I could love this so much. Right. I would say they are my weakness today. That's one of my greatest weaknesses, my children. However, I made up in my mind a long time ago that my children cannot and will not be my everything. And the reason why is that because even being a parent, you still can't lose your individuality. And the most important thing a child can see you do is be you.
Right.
When we look back on things, and we talk about different people in our lives, I've talked to a lot of different, older people, and we talk about them. We could say, wow, they did this and we did this and they did that. And I said, oh man, I remember I used to go down to the candy store, Miss Johnson. She was always so sweet and nice. Then I remember Miss Becca, she always had her belt. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you just remember certain things. Well, I used to think about that and made up in my mind that, wow, what my children going to say about me? You know what I'm saying? Like they can see, they know how I am as mother, and they know my nurturing, and they know me being there, and I'm at anything they got going on. I'm 100% supportive. But then we lose ourselves with that idea of making them being our everything. We lose ourselves when we make a mistake and we don't know what to do. And then they see us fall down. And then to me, that's what I call non-human-like. They need to see us as humans. They need to see us being imperfectly, but as a family, we're perfect together.
Right.
With every family, there is some type of dysfunction. So I tell my sons all the time, I've always told them this, is that for everything that I am, I want you to be 10 times more. That, to me, is the best parent I can be. I don't want you to mimic me. I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be better. And whatever that better is for them, because each one of them have a different way. Then the pressure itself of trying to keep them from certain things, just right now, the generation of TikTok, my son is 8 years old and he's like, oh, he watch it. Oh, he see a cuss word. Oh, I scroll, I get through it. And I'm like, nah, see, I don't really want you to have that yet. I tell him all the time, I say, I'm not ready for you to grow up. And he was like, Mom, I'm going to grow up. I said, I know you are, but I'm not ready. You know why? Because then the dynamic of you and I is going to change. I have to meet him where he's at as he age. So right now with your baby on your shoulder, you got Malachi, you can burp him and he ain't doing nothing but just, being a sweet baby. Everybody looking at him and, want to hold him and everything. But as he aged, and then he started getting this and he started havocing everywhere. Okay, when you coming to get your baby, it can be different. And, all this, I don't feel the same. I mean, he used to be cute, you know, saying it changes, you know. So, but when you're human, you say, look, today just, you know, today I'm cool. I'm cool with it. The reason why I would say, and I've had the pleasure of seeing both of you guys, I think is absolutely beautiful. I love to see young couples starting out and making their way. And the number one advice I would tell you all is that find your way and make your cave.
Mm-hmm.
And give your child the legend of you guys. But don't lose your individuality doing it. Because children, I'm telling you, they have a much, much thicker skin than y'all think we do. And they are the worst people that you can even begin.
I have to remind myself. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they are the worst people I think you can even begin to try to lie to or be somebody else to or try to introduce them to a replica. They know you. They know you. My son can hear me on the phone. I mean, listen, they the only ones been in our bodies, okay? Not the fathers, but been in the mother's body. They know what our heartbeat. They can hear, Mom. They can hear. We can hear like that. That's how in tune they are to us. Any type of little bit of a cry or a whisper or nothing, they can know, Mom, what's wrong with you? So that's the same thing with us. We need to take that same attitude about them growing up, and you know, we want to protect them as we always going to want to do and always going to do. But at the same time, I don't want to give my son a superficial me. I don't want to give him that I can't make mistakes. An apology, you absolutely. It goes a long way. Simply saying, just even when you and your husband might even feel or have different words of just about, well, he did this and he did that. You know, it's always a place and a time. And I would say for you going forward is that they need to be just as much as you guys can say, I'm sorry, just as much as you can say, as much as you say, I'm sorry, they need as much as they need to hear you say, I love you. I grew up and I never heard that. Ever.
Absolutely.
Never heard I love you at all.
I'm with you on that one.
Never heard
I heard it
sorry.
first. Never. I heard it first in Ed and Andy's house. Okay. And I was like, huh.
Like, wow, that's what they really do, and this not on TV. It's not a show. Right. I'm making my point to be what I want my children to know that does exist. Because it does exist. But we create that. And I think a lot of times, I would say even in the older generation to the new generation, I don't know how you feel about that, Ed, but I feel like people stop. They just stop creating the atmosphere that can be extremely healthy for your children. They stop challenging when I'm going through something. You just let them see everything. Or when you mad, you go home and take it all out on them. And they like, what's wrong with you, mama? You know what I mean? So you do need to get ahead of that. And it's absolutely okay. It's okay to cry and be able to say, you know what, mommy, that's not feeling good today. Because especially with boys, I can tell you, they need to be able to know they different than a girl. Girl gonna put their hands around us and they gonna, you know, oh, mom, I'm so sorry. What's wrong, mom? I'm mad at him too, or whatever. Okay, but with the boys, they don't have that. So it's something when I don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? But my boys, I've always prided myself for being extremely strong, which is what just recently even happened to me. My boys couldn't believe that can happen, but I needed them to see me be absolutely vulnerable.
I want to chime in here real quick, Tamani. You had a question, and one of the things was part of the parenting and the roles, and you were saying, I want you to break this down to your perception on this. You're saying parenting roles, women are allowed to be certain ways, and men are. So what's your take on that? What's your angle? I want to hear your.
So this came from this was a recent kind of conversation, and it's like, so basically it's exactly that. I get to check out. You know, I think that women are, what did I say? Women are allowed to, so we're allowed to, you know, have a tantrum, or we're allowed to, it's more acceptable. They're like, you know, I mean, it goes on with the conversation about women and their emotions and, you know, that time of the month and all that type of stuff. It's like we get to be, if we want to be strong, we want to be viewed as strong. So we go and do, like you say, Cammie, the superhero, superwoman route. But at any point we can step off that podium and we will still be as loved and accepted, I feel, in my experience and the things that I've looked at. But you know, for my partner, for Jordan, I feel like he has to hold it together. I feel like I get like if he checks out, and this is how it happens. He'll check out and I'll get upset. I'll get
Mm.
mad. You know what I mean? And I feel like some of that might be like um unconscious, inner conscious, whatever, however you look at that. Subconsciously, I'll just react or respond like, what you mean? What you mean? Like, are you serious? Like, you want to
So you're
sleep
saying
more?
you have women has been awarded or afforded the opportunity to kind of check out, to kind of lose it, and to be emotional and be upset and frustrated and
Mhm,
to be overwhelmed and express it. And the
mhm.
man has to be able to keep it together. The husband or the father has to be
Yeah,
able to keep it together in front of the
yeah,
kids the entire time. They're not afforded that opportunity, you're saying, or
yeah. So for example, so in this particular situation where this topic or this concept came from, again, he wanted to check out, and I kind of, you know, checked him on it, like, what you mean? No, like right now we need you here. And then I just thought about it and was like, I check out all the time, like, and he don't say nothing, and
oh,
everyone's like, and people who come into the house to check on us, they're just like, get your rest. They ask me, have I rested, how I'm feeling, which I'm grateful for. I'm not saying don't love me. I'm saying that the men, they deserve more love. They deserve, and we have to give them permission. I feel like, because otherwise he gonna feel guilty. He gonna feel guilty. You know what I mean? If he, the only time he ever, I mean, this is what I'm gonna say. Last year, I was sick like 12 times. Every month I was sick. Okay. Jordan didn't get sick not once. And his thing was, I can't afford to be sick. And like I'm telling him, like, okay, I really appreciate that. You're trying to, do this for, be there for us and everything like that. But come on now, go cry somewhere, go step out, go call your dad, go whatever, because again, it's just like, if you're not mentally healthy, my team is in jeopardy. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, if you don't get to take a break,
mm,
then come on. I need you to do it. And so that's really, I'm not saying less love for women, but I think that definitely
Mm.
fathers who are, we don't give credit to fathers who ain't there, okay? But we give credit to the fathers who are there. They should be like, and unfortunately, because of how, they've been groomed, how society grooms us, if they're a good stand-up man, with, you dad and granddad raising them, he's not gonna do it unless you make him, unless you tell him. Like, I have to, like, please, you know what I'm saying? You have something on your chest, and not even just like go and have a men's night or anything, man's night, or that's not what I'm talking about. He'll be walking around and it's clear there's thoughts, there's feelings, but he's not expressing it.
right.
Mm.
I'm walking around like, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I can't take this. Take him. You know what I mean? I'm constantly expressing how I'm feeling, and he's just like silently moving. I was like, you're going to explode if you don't.
Yeah,
And I'm
I'm glad you said that. I think a lot of times, especially, it's one of those things that some people have when they have the fortune of having a partner, whether it's male or female or
mhm,
husband or wife, they have a partner that's really present,
mhm,
where they actually are a help, like they really are present, not just an appendage. Like, oh yeah, can you go? They're not even present. They don't know what's going on. You say, go grab me a bottle. They're, oh, okay, and they
Mm.
tripping over a controller, grab the bottle. When you have a partner that's present, I think that's important to say, yo, what's good? You okay? Because you're right, they can get burned out. And then what
mhm,
you don't want, any of us want, is some sort of resentment, like the
mhm,
acknowledgement. I love the fact that you're acknowledging that you know
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
I
mhm,
need to look at this. You need help. You're present. We have partnership. That's one thing I loved about. I think that was one of the dynamics between Angie and I, was that we felt, even though we had grandma and granddad to go to every once in a while here and there, but in the incest, like we got thrown in the water, so to speak. So we were each other's absolute ally. We were partners. Like
yeah,
we would go and clean out the sewer together. We were
mhm,
climbing trees to cut the tree down together. Like she had the branch, I had the limb, and we did all of that thing together. It's like I took one kid to school, I went to work and watched the kid while at work, and she did the vice versa. You gonna take that baby today? We were those people. And
Mm.
mhm,
so You have to give that person the time. So I like the fact that you're looking at that. And I want to dive a little bit deeper in there when you saying, and these are your notes, you guys, on Mitchell and Mitchell Sip and Spill. I'm going off my daughter-in-law's notes and some of the stuff she said, and she was saying something about, I guess, being there or being an advocate for your partner.
Yeah.
You want to break that down, a finding balance between whatever that looks like between you and your partner?
Yeah. So I think that, you know, and this has been going on for some time. So Kyle will be 10 this year. He's 9 now. But in the beginning, we were trying to, you know, you were the person who took care of the nighttime. I was the daytime. And it was like we had these specific, whatever the tasks were, this is what you do, this is what I do. If we step to the right, you know, you step to the left. It was just like, it was that setup. And it's like, you're not the same person day to day. Emotionally, chemically, all of that. You know, you're not the same person. So, and this is so beautiful. And when I found this, I was like, yes, Jesus, yes. So it's like, and you were kind of touching on this, Kimmy. It was just like, so our children, you know, they're loved by God. You know what I'm saying? And they deserve life and they deserve goodness. But so do I. So does Jordan. You know, we don't stop. You know what I mean? So it's like whatever my needs are, they have to be met. Whatever his needs are, they have to be met. And so going back to the day to day, today, you know, I might have something as simple as a headache, or you know, or Jordan needs to, you know, help out a family member or something like that. It's like it just has to. We're at this point where I'm grateful, where we just naturally like slide into place, you know, kind of like a puzzle or something like that. But it's not the same every day, and it's never 50. It's hardly ever 50-50. And if you're in a partnership and you want this to last, something I've learned is stop counting. Don't keep track of good deed here, good deed here. Just it's pointless because it's going to keep on going and you're going to lose track and there's no winning. So I think at the end of it all, you know, when all our kids are, you know, moving on with their lives and everything like that, you know, it should look like 50-50 as a total grade, you know what I mean? But on the day to day, I don't think that it is. I think that, you know, he might have more energy because he had a nap and he had 2 naps and he slept and he's like, okay, I can go to the grocery store, I can go do the laundry, this and that. And I might be like, you know, and so I think that's really just it is. I think it's just being at this place where you understand, stop keeping track, stop counting, stop. It's not a competition. That's another thing. It's like there was this point where, and this point was like literally yesterday. So let me not make it sound like it was 2 years ago. But I realized that in my mind, I was thinking like, I was listing all of the things that I do. Okay, just listing. And I mean, in my mind, boy, I was up here. You know what I mean? I was to the max. I'm like, I am the shiznit. Okay, I am the bomb.com. And so now, naturally, with that perspective, you're like, what about you? Where are you at? If I'm doing all of this, what are you doing?
Wow.
And so and when you think about it, everyone knows this. Everyone knows that they do it. You have these internal conversations and they could take you over. If you don't have your emotions and your heart and your mind together, they will win every time. The little inner conversation. So, and then I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, today he didn't do as much, but yesterday and next week, you know, like, it's like, what is the point of this? So really, this is, and I'm getting on myself and anybody out there listening who feels this, we gotta do better. And this is going back to the apologizing to your kids. I apologize to him all the time because it's like, you know, I'm not perfect, but I also want you to know that this is how you help me grow. You know what I mean? This is how you, by showing me these little things that I'm doing. And so
you know what I think is dope, and I'm glad you said it because when we were coming up, when Kimmy and I was coming up, it was like, remember Kimmy, it was like we had these 2-parent households. Then as we was getting older, the 2-parent household was like nothing. It was like single moms. But now the research has showed there are more 2-parent households now. It's damn near back to where it was in the 60s.
Oh,
where
nice.
They're two-parent households. Whether they're married or not, that's a whole nother story, but two-parent households. So I was going to ask you a question about the relevancy based off people who don't have that partner that's helping them and things of the nature. But it's not, that's the truth now. It's a lot of the Gen Ys are really, even if they just homies, you know what I'm saying? There, or
Yeah.
even if it's not a two-parent household, there are two parents that are present.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they may not necessarily be in the same house, but they're actually actively present. These people nowadays are straight up present. Like, they fight. Like, look, you tripping on my weekend, blah, 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 blah. And we got friends of ours that be like, come to get that'll come to get that kid from, it don't matter where, way in Timbuktu, they're going to come and get their child, mother and father.
Mhm.
So I was asking about that. There's some other points, though, I want to ask you about based off of what you were saying before.
Mhm.
And you were saying about no one prepares you for it, parenting, and how no one prepares you for this. And you already talked about balancing between your partnerships and what it takes, obviously, and then
Mhm.
doing the competition thing, don't compete with them, right?
Oh,
But I wanted to get into what you were talking about is you said something about parenting adults.
yeah. So, and I think really with this, it's for you, so I can speak on the only thing I can speak on at this point, because you guys can speak on having parents, and you can speak on parenting adults, 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds, people, 18 plus. And so I can speak on, how my relationship with my parents now and how they are parenting, how they still parent me and the different things that they do. But it was a question that I wanted to ask y'all about, because you guys, it's like, then you had adults. Now what? You know what I mean?
Now what?
That's just like graduating high school.
Well,
Now,
I want to ask you a question before I answer. I'm gonna let Kimmy go first. I want to ask you this question. I'm gonna let Kimmy talk. I want to ask you this question: how do you feel being parented by your parents, and you have children?
well, I'll say I'm okay with, I'm good at taking, my parents, listening to their advice. I'm respectful above all else. I'm gonna listen to you. I'm not about to shut you down, and I'm definitely not finna disrespect you. Um, I think that I also think that if you're going to give me advice, I'm afforded the opportunity to give you my opinion on that, give a response, because you know what I mean? You coming to me, I don't want to say coming at me, but you're coming to me with some information. So I'm gonna tell you what my thoughts are, and let's have a conversation, because at the end of the day, I know that my parents, all of them, and my grandparents want the same thing that I want, the best for these kids. Okay. Now I get a little hesitant sometimes because what my parents thought was best for me in some cases, I know wasn't the best for me. I know that that's not how I learned. I know that what it did to me emotionally and all that stuff. I'm talking about regression work and you know childhood stuff, childhood trauma, and all that stuff. So it's like some things. It's like, no, we're not going to do that. I understand why you think that we should do that, but your primary reason. So I asked them why you want to do that, and your primary reason is that your mom and dad did it to you. That's not a good enough reason for me, like for us to do that just because your parents did it to you. Because, like, come on, you got some hard science facts, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got, or some experiences, because I can tell you, we can have this conversation. I can tell you what that advice, you doing that to me, did to me. We can have that conversation,
Hmm.
you know?
Do you think not to cut you, do you think they're receptive to that statement? And then do you feel that there are a lot of undermining that comes along from us parents when it comes to you parents?
Oh, no. And that's not to say that other millennials or Gen Ys don't have this experience, but I don't feel undermined. In the beginning I did. We're not gonna talk about it. In the beginning I did. Though, okay, it was one thing, okay? One thing. We're leaving names out. But my father cut my baby's hair without my permission. Mm, mm. So that was the only time, and it was a pretty epic one, if I may add. Okay. And I was just like, oh, but see, because of the fact that we were living under his roof with him and stuff like that, he felt like you know what I mean? Like this was a Russian doll. Like that's his baby, really. Like, and I'm just like, no, it's not. Sorry, you can't do that. you know. But how did I get through that? I was angry, and what it did was it gave us the opportunity for me to talk, because talking is just not what we did about the uncomfortable stuff. We were the sweep under the rug type.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I was like, God, now I got to defend, even though he wasn't in any harm. You know what I mean? So it was just one of those things that it triggered me for a purpose. And that happens a lot. It's like, it's not even about the haircut. It's you got to go talk to him, and you have to let him know what's going on. And that it hasn't happened. Nothing like that has happened from any other parent. You know what I
So,
mean? Go ahead.
so you would say that your responses, or we're receptive to your, okay, you know what, I ain't really rocking that way or whatever. You feel like you're getting good responses from your parents, from like,
True.
okay, I ain't going, you ain't throwing my baby in the water. We
Yeah.
ain't gonna put the baby, because me and Kimmy was watching, she was with me last week, we was watching Malachi,
Mhm.
and I think she thought I was gonna put Malachi on his stomach, and she was like, well, don't. I'm like, I'm not gonna put him on his stomach. But
Yeah.
those kind of old school, like my mom, there was something Angie had to do with my mom. My mom was like, baby, that's how I did. I done raised so much kids. And that was one of the things, Kim, let me tell you about that.
Nope.
Her and Marie would have fights about putting that baby on their stomach, and Angie wasn't hearing that baby on the stomach thing. So
I'll
do
say,
you think that you've gotten good feedback when you say, hey, I feel you on that, thank you. However, and
yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. You
Yeah.
get feedback, good feedback back from that?
Yeah. Outside of that one time, never had any issues with that. I do know that some of my peers, my friends, they'll tell me some stories about their Gen X, parents, what they do to their kids. And so I'm not gonna say that undermining doesn't happen, but I think that, like I said, it's just like, see, this is the thing with us, with millennials, is we are at a place now where it's like y'all can't hurt us no more. So we can talk, you know what I mean? And we feel comfortable with talking. And I think that we figured out how to talk without being disrespectful. And I think that that was the thing growing up. Everything, it seemed like everything was disrespectful. If you
Everything, just
disagreed,
mere talking was
yeah,
disrespectful. Who you think you are to have an opinion? You gonna say something back
yeah,
to me?
yeah. And
Yeah.
so once we got to a point where it's like, no, disrespect, that's not disrespect. And then and I think we learned about it when it came time to school. It's like, so I could say that to my teacher. That's not disrespectful, but I can't say that to you. I don't know.
Right.
So we end up figuring it out. We end up figuring out what is disrespectful, and it's like, okay, obviously, don't raise your voice. Don't if you have strong opinions, this is how we talk about it. I mean, there's a way to do it, and so I think that all that happens with me and my parents, as far as advice and suggestions on how to raise my kids, is we're having a conversation. They're saying, well, I don't think that's a good idea. What's so crazy is that if they had it their way, my parents in particular, they, and probably y'all too, overparent, like overprotective, like helicopter, like y'all
Mhm.
gonna leave the baby right there just sitting there like that. you know what, that my mom, that shirt looks kind of tight. It's choking him, like
Right.
it's not choking him, but
Yeah.
okay.
So I got a question for you. You were asking us a question. So make sure I revisit this question so Kim can properly have it, because I talked a long time for
You
that.
can answer it. Go ahead.
Well, I can't remember the question. The question was, uh, you asked about adult parents,
Yeah.
adult parenting adults.
Yes.
Okay, you want to answer, or you want me to answer first?
Yeah.
Kim, what's your experience?
Go
What's your
ahead. Go
experience?
ahead.
Um, it's been a um for me it's different, because as a father, honestly, everything kind of went by so fast for me. And I'm not saying I wasn't present, but I just kind of like my kids all of a sudden became adults and stuff, and it was like, okay. And for me with my boys, it started out with your husband,
Mhm.
where I had to understand. It would take me a while to process he was an adult. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like, you still my son.
Mhm.
And it took me a while. And let me tell you the funniest thing about that. I'm an older brother. You know your uncles, right? So
Mhm.
it took me a while to like one day my uncle said told me, he said, stop calling me your little brother. I'm your brother. And I'll be somewhere, man. That's my little brother right there. He's same size as me and everything. Not well, he was bigger than me. He lost a lot of weight now. He's
Mhm.
smaller than me now. But he was like, man, stop saying I'm your little brother, Nick. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what is this coming from? But I had a hard time with my two younger brothers would
Yeah.
stop without sunning them. I have an issue. I had an issue with sunning people. I just did. And even my oldest sister, you know, I damn near was son her. She's older than me by 9 years.
Yeah.
So I had to, so just the way I grew up was just this strong, dominating, yo, sit down, what up? No, all that back talk, anything you say that was a little bit like, did I say something? And I didn't even know I was being that way. So now that matriculates down to my sons, my kids, and my oldest son starts to have a voice.
Yeah.
And he has an opinion. And I was okay with it until it was an opinion with his mom, or him and his mom had a thing. And it was like, and something was like, wait a minute, your mom is true. She said that you're supposed to listen to that. And I had an issue with that. And I had to realize, like, okay, I raised him. And surely if I raised him, I had to have done something that's a part of me. I had to have put something that's decent and good. So I gotta believe that something in him is going to make the right decisions based off of how we, especially if I did it out of love and out of and with, you know, discipline. And so he was the first example of like, okay, he wants to do something different. He wants to do his own thing, or he has a different opinion or whatever. And it was like, I had to embrace him. And I had to apologize to my brothers first and apologize to them for not respecting him as a man. I had to apologize to my son. So yes, I did apologize to my son. And I'm like, hey man, I respect you as a man. I apologize if I came at you a certain way. And I realize you are a man. So that was, for me, was kind of, because all of a sudden I had to respect him as men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, what? And I had to realize that didn't take anything away from me being a parent. And as I talked to them more, and it stopped being so lecture minded, you know, I can be lecturing, you know, I go right into lecture mode. And my dad, here's funny, Granddad Peter told me, he said, and it was the funniest thing, you know, I always had an issue with my dad, you know, but I love my dad, but I, you know, had my little issue with him. And he had told me, he said, sometimes you got to sit down and listen, and just, they don't need you doing all this. You got to do this. You got to do that. He said, sometimes your kids just want you to listen and just roll with them and kick it and just relax. And when he told me that advice, which is, I thought was odd coming from my dad, I ain't gonna lie. Like, what? You know, he got some dope stuff to teach, and he does actually. And and that was when I started to listen. And then so when Puffy came along, and then he had his experiences and his, you know, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to see it. I learned from Jordan. Now Edwin is here, and I'm like, okay, these guys are men, and they have their opinions. I gotta trust that we did a good enough job, or tried. Okay, so for me, parenting and adults gets a little tricky when they do things and we say, this is where it gets tricky. It's the only thing that gets tricky. We say, yo, I see what's coming around that corner. If you do this, it's gonna be, you know, whoop wham the whatever, right? And they're like, nah, fuck that. I got it. And they go around the corner and do opposite of what I say. They're like, yo, listen, you were right. I need you to go ahead and bail me out of this one. And it's kind of like, and that when it gets like, come on, this is where it's like, okay, now you grown, you made your own decisions, and now you know whatever. So I had to balance that. But even then, it's kind of like I'm learning that too. Like they have to make a decision, and I'm gonna be there for them. We're gonna figure it out together. I'm not gonna, and my kids know that we're gonna be there together. So that's been my thing. And now my daughter, that's a whole nother thing. And I understand it went from boys like y'all got to now having the girl as a father. And have to be open to listening to her, being honest about her feelings and her relationship with her boyfriend and her sensuality type of stuff. And it's like, I don't want to push her away. I want her to be open to talk to me about that kind of stuff. I'm like, damn, this is unexplored territory. But I'm gonna go off of my reference with my son Jordan, my son Edwin, and my son Dylan, and I'm just gonna be like my father said. Let's listen.
Yeah.
Cool. And don't let them feel like, because you know, sometimes as parents, you're gonna learn this too. You do approach your kids. You can't make it seem like what they're telling you is so shocking. You can't be like, oh my God, unless they want it to be shocking. But you can't act like, because then they start feeling like, wait a minute, am I telling you too much? And you don't want to do that. You want to be like, okay, yeah.
I guess right.
That's tough. So that's my part. Go ahead, Kimmy. I'm sorry, I took too long.
Okay, no, you didn't. I guess I'm just trying to figure out. The question is parenting when you're an adult, because I think when when you parent a children that adult, as you were saying, Ed, I think it's just ways I think the voice, I think what you're trying to say, man, is the voice that you want to be able to have. I wouldn't want my child to not be able to have a voice at a young age and an old age. Growing up for me, I didn't have that. I didn't have a voice. You know, it was, you're going to be quiet. You're not going to talk back. You're not going to say, and even if I was saying, well, I'm thirsty, I just want what I say. What, and that was it. So I didn't get a chance. So I was just going to be thirsty for the rest of the night, even though I ate all my food, but I wasn't able to drink nothing. So that's all I was asking for. It's water. Right? We laughing. He laughing because he know this I'd be for real. Right. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to keep it 100. I didn't get my water. Okay. Didn't get my water. And it's sometimes like when you just said about when you was watching your grandson. And it wasn't so much as that, oh, I just don't want him to put it on his stomach. The way I said it, if you remember, this is the way I said it, because this is the way I like to be talked to. And I know exactly what you're saying, sweetheart, because when you're being a parent, you don't want your parents to just come in and say something to you like, well, you just did something so terribly wrong. Yeah. Really? So you choke, you got a turtleneck on the baby, and you think like you put a little cute little outfit, like he had this little brown shirt and this little jeans, and you know, and they're like, oh my God, it's just choking the baby. He just, you know, we don't dress our babies like that. What's wrong with a little t-shirt? You know what I'm saying? What you putting Jordans on the baby for? He ain't walking nowhere. You done spending all this money. You could have paid that on it. I know. And you be like, man, that's why I say I really believe that what for me, when my oldest son became a father, he wanted me to like, you know, he wanted me to do this and he wanted me, but I allowed him to come to me. Why? Because I didn't want to overstep my boundary. As his mom, I needed him to be his own man. Yeah. He needed to be able to make the one of the most, and you will learn this, the most hardest thing a parent can do is allow their children to make mistakes. Even though you might see the car coming head on to crash, you damn near gotta just look away. And if he keep going straight, you gotta pray for the best. The most thing I would say I pray for more than anything now is the safety of my sons. More so as adults, because now they take way more challenges. They take way more risk. There's way more challenges. Yeah. It's things that we don't even, as Ed and I, and you're going to learn this too with your children as they grow up, you're not even going to be knowing what they go through. I pray for that because I don't know. And it's just certain things simply because of my title, being their mom, or simply because their father is that who he is, they won't tell us. It's those intertwined things. So I feel at a very young age, and since I've been able to have the 30-year-old all the way down, God has blessed me with my little miracle, and I have my youngest son as well. I've learned to be able to instill in him now of how I want him to be able to talk to me. So I'm big on discipline. I'm a big disciplinarian. I've always have been because of I had boys. So I didn't get to show a lot of that, you know, girly girl. I couldn't do that. So with them, I'm walking around with a house full of men and they look at everything different. So the best time I had to really cry, I would turn on a Hallmark movie or a romantic movie, and they'd be like, I'm really in it. And I'm crying about a whole bunch of other things. And they like, whoa, mom, for real? And I'm like, yeah, because, man, you know, but they don't know I'm really crying about the stuff I can't share. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like you mask a lot of things. But I would say suppression will bring about aggression. So I've learned to meet my children where they at every different age. And it's not so much as don't put them on the stomach. It was more so like, you know, just a tip. I'm just saying, you know, if you put them on the stomach, you know, it could happen. But, you know, I'm going to still let you do, it's your grandbaby. You know, you know what I'm saying? I'm like that. I don't just be like, oh, you can't do this. Or if you came over and, you know, slob coming out, you walking with Malachi and slob coming out down the back. I'm just like, you might want to get that, you know, his rag because it's all, and you like, well, hell, I'm used to that, you know, so I don't, you know, nowadays you just, you know, you watch how you say it, but I find that if you say it in a way of not trying to tell somebody something and you're just saying like you're just sharing something, it makes a world of a difference. So because I don't want, and I know this, when you do learn that you have to wait, some children, we can say they grew up, and I know a lot of parents will say, well, my son or my daughter, she got a whole different kind of voice now. You remember that saying, Ed? I know you probably heard it. Say, yeah, Yeah, she out here just smelling her whole ass. Or
Yeah,
they
smelling
said it about
herself,
the boy. He done had sex now and he all different. And look at him. Just look, she walk different.
smelling themselves.
Yeah, she feeling herself, you know. And it's one of them things that I remember the first time I heard my mama call me fast. I was
Oh,
jumping rope. I used to be in Chicago. They had the Bud Bulletin Parade. I was in the Bud Bulletin parade every year. That was like my thing. Every year it was dancing. And my mom, I did turn around, drop, did the split. My mom said, "Oh, she fast. She is fast," and that hurt me so bad because I was a real straight up nerd. I wasn't even looking at boys. All I wanted to do was dance. I had one goal in mind. And so I never forget the day that I waited until I got a little older and I told my mom that. We was actually having dinner and I told my mom, I said, "Mom, you know, you called me fast. That really hurt my feelings." And she was like, "You know, girl, that's just something that we say." I said, "God, I wish I would have known that that's what she meant." I thought she was
Reframing.
saying like, yeah, I thought she was saying
Reframing
like,
is powerful.
yes.
It's
And so I
necessary.
was like, "Mom, really? Man, I wish I would have known." But I'm gonna tell you, the only reason why I didn't know, because I didn't feel encouraged. The platform was not created that I felt that I can just go and talk to her and say, "Mom,
Absolutely.
why you call me fast?"
Yeah.
Because had I was able to do that, I wouldn't have had years and years and years of thinking that.
Yeah.
Like when I say something to my boys and they dad say something to them, it's different. Like when you say something, Ed, to Eden, it's different. It hit different.
Yeah.
Because dad said, and most of the time, you know, the girls just got, you know, the dad's wrapping on their fingers.
Yeah.
But if Ozzy say something, she like, "Girl,
Mm.
what?" It's different. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? It's different. But it's also like that with our different boys. Like my oldest son, he's more calm. He's calm. But if you say something to my second youngest son, Dylan, my Dylan, he's like, "Oh no," he just, you know, and I gotta bring him back. So it's just learning how to meet them where they at. That goes all the way into adulthood. I really would say, but don't never lose your voice.
Mm.
Never lose your voice. With your children, without your children. That's why I feel having your individuality is so important in front
Mm.
of our children, because you want them to know the most important thing you could teach them to be is absolutely human that make mistakes.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
love that. I'm gonna chime in on this part tomorrow. I'm gonna go back to the thing with you and your partner when it comes to when you celebrating him or allowing him to have that voice or whatever. There's something Uncle L. I don't know if you remember Uncle L. Uncle L was Aunt Odie's husband. Aunt Odie.
No.
Aunt Odie is the one who passed away right after my granny did. That's her sister that passed
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
in Michigan. And
Yeah.
my uncle told me, he said, when the relationship, he said, you know, it's all real reciprocals. That I'm gonna try to paraphrase it, but he was like, it's reciprocal. Like he said, if it's a TV he wants a TV. He said when he get home, his wife has already bought the TV. But while he out, he out there buying the shoes she wanted. Like she wanted these shoes. Like, I'm gonna get my wife the shoes. I ain't gonna get myself the TV. But she done went bought him the TV. He done bought her the shoes. So it's a situation when it comes to parenting, when it comes to you and your spouse, your partner, where it's like, give him his breaks and he got to give you your breaks, but he has to allow you to let you love on him and let him feel
Yeah.
like it's okay to do whatever. And then there's the last point, and we're going to get off of this one, and we might do a part 2 on this one. The last point I wanted to talk about was this, when you were talking about our purpose. Are we parenting? How to view parenting as a purpose? How do we parent the world? I want to know what was your take on that, what was your thoughts on that, and then we can do a part 2 another time.
So this for me, and thank you guys again for having me on. This was just an opportunity to, like you say, Kimmy, embrace my individuality, right?
Mhm.
I have something to say,
Right.
and I feel comfortable finally saying it. And I'm gonna like go back to what you were just saying. Being raised, I was no talking. You know what I mean? My opinions, I didn't have any, and I held it in a lot. All my emotions couldn't have it, to the point where I grew up thinking emotions were dangerous. They led to butt whoopings. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
And so I'm at this point now. So going to what you're talking about now, Dad, with the purpose, I realized that from the point where I could speak right, I had been running on this, like, you know what I mean, just at this pace where, like, and it was people pleasing, you know, and above all my parents, okay? And so everything was for them, for their approval, for this "I love you" that I didn't hear from my father, you know what I mean? And so I realized that I got to a certain point. So I went all the way through school, and I don't know if you knew this about me, Kimmy, but I was valedictorian, okay?
Mhm.
4.7 GPA, always. That's who I've been, straight A's. If I had a B plus, I would go and I would fight the teacher to fix
Mhm.
it. Okay. And this was just because, whenever we went out, this is what my parents, oh, this is who she is. She's this person. And I took it into college, did the same thing, dean's list, 3.9 GPA, because I had a little fun. But, still did it, and then went on after that, became a college advisor, financial advisor. I was desk manager when I was 16 years old, where I hired, trained, and terminated people. 16 or 17,
Mhm.
right? 17, 18, 19, 20. That's what I did. And then 21 to 22, 23, I was a college advisor for the University of Illinois. And then for the next 4 years, I was a life insurance agent and a FINRA certified financial specialist. Okay. So I've been running, you know, and then at some point I was wiped out. And
Mhm.
I realized that what am I doing for me?
Mhm.
Like, is this for me? Because if it's for me, why am I not feeling fulfilled? Like, yeah, I got money.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm impressive, but I feel so drained.
Mhm.
And my parents, I can't speak for everybody, but my parents thought I was doing it right. But I would tell them how I felt, and they would say, you know, no, you're doing it right. And I was like,
Mhm.
this can't be right. This
Mhm.
hurts. This is
Mhm.
bothering me. I don't know my kid. Okay. Micah being brought up versus Kyle. Okay. Kyle was everybody's baby, everybody's first. He was the first, everybody, great grandson, grandson. He's the first nephew, first, cousin, all that stuff. And so, everybody else raised him, really. You know what I mean? Like, it was a collective effort. It wasn't the personal, intimate moments that I had with my second one, because of the fact that I took this time out, and I'm glad that I did. In that time, I was able to really I over attached. Now I know I over attached to the mom role,
Mhm.
to the mother role. And I do feel that's part of my purpose, to the point where now that I'm getting back out there, I'm looking at other business ventures. I'm looking at, I'm writing, and I'm thinking about what it is that I want to do as a creative, you know what I mean? As fulfilling a creative space for me. I know that mom and wife, I need that up here. I need that to be a priority. I need them to know me. I need them to be able to come to me. I want to know what's going on in their life, because there was a lot of things, like you said, I didn't feel comfortable going to my parents to talk to them about it. Where I'm sure that if that bridge had been built, I'm sure I could have avoided feeling guilt or embarrassment or any of the things that we hold on to and stuff way down in a liver somewhere that gets sick 10 years later. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
if that bridge had been built. So I say all that to say that I want my kids to know that that bridge is open, on, lit, and they can come whenever. You know what I mean? And so we teach them, like, I might not have the answer you want to hear. I may not, you know what I mean? I may not have the best, what you view as the best response, but trust me to respond, and to take care of my words. You know what I mean? That's something that we talked to Mikhail and Mike about. It's like, listen, if you got bad news, bring it to me. Don't be afraid, just bring it to me. And let's just trust that at the end of it, we're all going to be happy. We're all going to be satisfied. We're all going to walk away with something valuable. I can't speak for what is going to be said. I can't tell you that I'm not going to freak out like that. I think that's people who get caught up. You feel like you either got to be 100 or zero. Like, no, I don't know how I'm going to be. It depends on what you tell me, but just come and we'll work it out, and you'll be safe and protected. And we're going to make sure that you're heard, and we're going to address whatever it is. That's something it's just so important, because like I said, I would go to school and be like, oh my goodness, so and so, high school or even middle school, like, they're talking about my clothes. This is just a random example. They're talking about
Mhm.
my clothes, or they're calling me a teacher's pet. Okay. But we all know I was a teacher's pet. Now, if I got to explain it to the kids who was hating on me for being a nerd, okay? Like, you don't understand. That's how I survived. That's how I felt loved. Now, if they ever gave me that chance to explain, they probably would have given me a pass. But communication wasn't a strong suit, in the beginning, so I'm just like walking around like, being, I'm a nerd and people have a problem with it. But it's okay because I got to go home and they're not going to take care of me. They're not going to buy my clothes. So I'm just going to ignore that. But like I said, if I would have went to them and they were emotionally available, you know what I'm saying? So going back to what you're saying, parenting has a purpose. It's part of my purpose. I feel like the reason why my strongest emotions are tied to memories with how I was raised is so that I can raise these kids. I don't think that that's all that I'm worth, like you were talking about. I do know that I have more on offer, but I think it's so important, the job of a parent. It's so I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, we need to be getting paid, like for real. Not by our kids, but like some entity needs to exist paying us because that's the job, and it's such an important job. Like you know what I mean? Like everybody in the world has parents. Now
It's
I
a
go ahead.
no, it's so funny. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna end on that note because I love what you said, and we are, and me and Kimmy to this day are still parenting. We're still
Yes.
parenting. Like we and it's crazy because and I'm gonna speak a little bit on. I'm gonna give her her flowers, but she saw a situation she needed to help her child, and even though he couldn't understand at the moment as a parent, even though he's an adult, she had to make adjustments to make sure that he had what he needed because you could see
Mhm.
him going in the spiral. It was like it was a situation where he was spending money, and it was like you're going to eventually ask me for this money that you're spending that you can't recoup. So and so even though we are adult children, we still have the parent, and that is our role. And I do it. I wear that badge proudly
Mhm.
with you, my grandkids, my sons, my daughter. I wear it proudly. Kimmy wears it proudly.
Mhm.
It ain't nothing she won't do for her kids, and they know it. Ain't nothing you won't do for your kids. And even though we're older,
Mhm.
and we have adult children, we still are there for them. My son, your son, your husband to this day, I hug him and kiss on him. He's a
Mhm.
grown man, got a big mind, but
Mhm.
um, I'm still his dad.
Mhm.
Edwin, still his dad. So that goes on, and it is our role to keep parenting and to be there for our parents, not enabling,
Yeah.
not sending them off and telling them some stuff they want to hear,
Yeah.
but being parents. It's like I'm gonna be there all the way.
Mhm.
I'll be 90 years old and you 70 years old. I'm gonna be you need to come on talk to dad. You need to come over to the house, and I still go to granddad's house and we
Mhm.
go over there and look, hey granddad, dad, I need to use your axe, or I need to, we need to get some sugar from you. I need to grab some food from you. I know I can go to my parents' house and go over there and eat.
Mhm.
I know I can go if I'm hungry. I can go to my parents' house and eat, and I have a bed, sleep in. I know they still gonna parent me. Let me use your car. I gotta go downtown. I know I still got that. I don't need that, but I know I still have it. So,
Right.
I'm gonna end on that note. Kim, you have something to say on the end of that because I love this segment, and we can go deeper in certain places.
Guys, thank you guys again for having me on. This was a
You're
lot of fun.
so very welcome. I think it was a breath of fresh air to hear you actually talk about it. I definitely think we should do a part two. We want to
Mhm.
check in with you and see how you are coming along as figuring out this motherhood thing, as well as
Mhm.
being the wife, and
Yeah.
as well as just your individuality, because I think that's what the message that
Yes.
you want. But I do want to say this to you, that I think that will is a really good help in doing this, is that it's absolutely okay. You need to tell yourself that you no longer have to live in the shadow of what your parents thought you should and shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because the greatest accomplishment you can do for yourself is be
Mhm.
happy with yourself. So
Absolutely.
you might want to just do your very own visual board of
Yeah.
just what you see yourself. I always say that somebody asks me, so Kimmy, who you look up to? Like, who is that person like that you just inspired by, you want to be? And you know what I always say? I
Mhm.
always say, money, that who I want to be is me in 5 years, my Shiro, a better me.
Girl.
Because I know I would never, that's not something I'm ever going to just stop. I'm going to forever continue being a better me. So I'm gonna push that. Being, if it's gonna be in mom, if it's gonna be as a wife, if it's gonna be a friend or sister. And it's just when you make it visual for yourself, like what you want, more importantly, what type of legend you want to be for your children. You want to be able to say, mommy did, and they don't have a lot of things to say that you did this and you did that, but you want to have something that's significantly, that's just about you. For example, this something is something as simple as this show. And I'm only saying it's simple enough because our kids, his children, their children, my children can see us and say, man, they are just so stupid. They're just so crazy. They're just so, and they know, like, and then my son, he just told me the other day, he was like, Mom, I just literally was listening to you. I couldn't watch you, but I was just driving and I was just cracking up because I know how you really is like that. And it's like, so it's not, I want to leave them more memories of not just, mom just telling me what to do and always, hey, let's slap it on the back, what you're going through. You know what I'm saying? It's just me being my individual self. Like, I like my mom because, and you start off with that statement, and then you grow. I wrote this in ninth grade. I wrote it in ninth grade, what I wanted my children. I said, if I get married and if I have children, I wrote 5 things that I wanted them to know me by. And the number one thing I can say that stands out to me more than anything is that I want them to say, and it's something, it's this simple, but I wanted them to remember me always, absolutely always, making them laugh. The kind that you hold your stomach. And I'm like, I want to laugh with my children. A lot of people nowadays, it's just so much stuff is going on. I understand, but we just got to take time to do that. And you have the time, whatever time you want to make. It's about you. So I say, laugh with your children, love with your children, laugh, you and your husband, love you and your husband. And it's just a balance. And you will find your own way. But you don't have to let anyone, don't let what the world say, don't let what your parents say, and don't put that over your children. You know what you've been through. You don't want them to be an adult coming on our show trying to tell us what you and Jordan put them through. And now we old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Well, my mama, I couldn't have known. So you say I love you more. Yeah. You understand? You say I apologize when it needs to be said. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, you let them know, like, I love you just for you, and it's okay to make a mistake.
Yeah.
But we love having you on the show. We will be checking in and doing a part 2.
It was great, guys. Listen, Mitchell and Mitchell Sip and Spill. Like and subscribe on all media platforms, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and on Anchor, and on TikTok. So listen, guys, just make sure you like, subscribe, and share the information, share the content, give us some comments. We want to hear your feedback. This is one of my favorite interviews. My daughter came on here, and which we're going to be doing a lot more of this, having our family come in on. And this is one of Kimmy's ideas. She's been talking about this for 3 months. She was like, we're gonna have our family on. We're gonna have family on. So thank you to Monty for joining us.
So thanks to be our first Mitchell on here.
Thank you.
And we just want to let the world know, yep. I told y'all the Mitchells, we don't.
Yes. So listen, we like you, we love you, want more of you. And remember, on this show, it's been real and it's been fun. And every time we do a show, I don't care who's on it, I don't know what goes down, it don't matter. It's always real motherfucking fun. You heard me. God bless you guys. Talk to y'all soon. Thank you, baby.
Peace, y'all.
Give my grandbabies a kiss for me.
Okay, we will.